Hello guys, welcome to this channel. For today's lesson, we'll be looking at particulate nature of matters. In this lesson, we are going to understand the definition of atom, molecules, and ion. We are also going to distinguish between atoms and molecules. We are going to describe how the particles are arranged in the atom. We are going to define atomic number, mass number, isotope. We're also going to calculate the relative atomic mass of an atom. Before then, we are going to look at the history of the atom. The word atom comes from a Greek word which means something that cannot be split. That is, if you look at Dayton's idea about atom, Dayton actually said that atom can be split. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, scientists had to think of new pictures of atoms to explain new observations. For example, let's look at Professor J.J. Thomson. He's one of our scientists too. In the 1897, Professor J.J. Thomson he put forward his plum pudding theory. He thought atoms were balls of negative charge with turning positive particles. We understand that Dayton thought that atoms were balls of negative charge with tiny positive particles stuck inside. The negative particles were called electrons. He said they were like current in a bones or Christmas pudding. This model explains Thomas' experiment with electricity. Example, the cathode rays experiment. However, later experiment using radioactive particles needed in a new picture. By 1915, scientists like Ernest Rutherford Nabob had developed a model that is still useful today. Let's look at few scientists that contributed to the particulate nature of matter. Let's look at Democritus. In 400 BC. He suggested that all things are made of particles, and scientists still believe this. In 1805, John Dayton's atomic theory, atoms, he actually said that atoms of the same elements are all like atoms of the same element are all like that is they combine to make compounds. And in 1897, J.J. Thomson found the electrons. He said a negatively charged particle that flies around the nucleus. Wow, a negatively charged particle that flies around the nucleus. Can you understand that? And in 1886, Eugene Augustine discovered the proton, a positively charged particle. Wow, this was later reiterated by Ernest Rutherford in 1909 as positively charged particle that collided with neutron to form the nucleus of an atom. If you understand this or terminology, you will find out that this guy was actually willing to study. But if we read further, you will get to understand. Let's look at Robert Einstein in 1909 as a positively charged particle that collided with neutron to form the nucleus of the atom. And he also came down in 1911. This thing or Ernestine Rutherford, he discovered the nucleus of the atom, the center of the atom, which is incredibly small and dense. Remember, Robert Ernestine said in 1911 he discovered the nucleus of the atom, the center of the atom, which is incredibly small and dense. And in 1913, Nye Bob suggests the electrons are found in shells around the nucleus. And in 1932, James Cadet discovered the existence of neutron, that is, a particle of equal mass with proton but carry no charge. That is for the discovery of atoms. Some major scientists that actually contributed to the particulate nature of matter. And we are going to understand the actual definition of matter. That is the concept of atom, molecules, and ions. Firstly, we are going to define matter. We say matter is defined as any substance that has mass and occupies space. Remember, it is made up of discrete or tiny particles like atoms, molecules, and ions. Now look at atoms. It said an atom is the smaller particle of an element which can take part in a chemical reaction. Particles, those smaller particles that take part or that partake in a chemical reaction, we refer to them as an atom. The atomistic school, principally of Lepicurus or Democritus and Epictetus, believed that a subdivision of matter could yield or could come from an atom, that is, which could not be further destroyed or reduced. Atoms are the smallest possible particles of an element that could exist and still possesses the chemical nature of that element. Wow. Atoms of different elements have various shapes. Atoms of various elements. Atoms of different elements. They have various shapes. Remember that. Let's look at molecules. We say a molecule is a smaller particle of a substance, smaller particle of a substance that is capable of independent existence and still retain the chemical property of that substance. I reiterate, a molecule is the smaller particle of a substance that is capable of independent existence. That is it is independent. It is independent. It exists independently, and it still retain the chemical property of that substance. It retain the chemical property of that substance. It maintain it. It deduce it. Hmm? A molecule is formed when two or more atoms are chemically joined together. That is, the combination of atoms of the same type produce molecule of an element. For example, we have H2, we have O2, we have N2, we have Cl2. While the combination of different type of atom produce molecule of a compound. Example, we have sodium chloride, that is NaCl. Also have calcium chloride, that is CaCl2. And we have hydrogen chloride, that is HCl, and so on. Molecules are the smaller amount in which any substance can exist without losing its identity. Wow. Without losing its identity. A smaller amount in which substance can exist without losing its identity. And the number of atoms in a molecule of an element is called its atomicity. Remember this. The number of atoms in a molecule of an element is called its atomicity. It is spelled atomicity. That is the number of atoms in a molecule of an element. It is called atomicity. Most oxygen, that is O2, nitrogen, N2, and chlorine, Cl2, are diatomic. They are diatomic. That is, the molecule consists of two atoms. Molecules that consist of two atoms, they are diatomic. Others like phosphorus, P4, and sulfur S8 exist as a tetraatomic and polyatomic molecules, respectively. The molecules of helium, He, and neon, Ne, argon, and that of those other elements, they are all monoatomic because they can exist independently as a single atoms. They exist independently as a single atom. Elements, their formulas of molecules, and the atomicity and a name. I'm going to give you a few elements. Their formulas and that of the atomicities and their name. We'll firstly start with helium. Helium, the formula for helium is He and the atomicity is 1. Thank you for following this channel. Remember to subscribe. Thank you.